And I do apologize for my voice. Got a seasonal allergies going on, so I may not be able to hear you. Got my ears a little stopped up too, so, but I do apologize. We were trying to get a hold of Supervisor Ivy, but looks like that connection may not work, but we'll go ahead and proceed. At this point, Mr. Smith, could I get you to do the invocation, please?
Father, thank you for this another meeting that we can have. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this week and what it means to us. And pray, Lord, that you will be with us in this meeting today with the board of supervisors, each one that participates, and all you do for us. We'll praise your name. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would ask for one consideration of changing the agenda to under old business to allow Mr. Wilmore to go first. That way he wouldn't be tied up while we're conducting our rest of our budget work session. But at this point, with that amendment, if the chair would entertain a vote.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair also aye. Okay, this brings us to old business, Grayson County CIP decision, AES letter. Mr. Wilmore.
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. Just checking here, I sent you guys out some numbers here earlier in the week, and of course, sent the letter that we would include. I did talk to the folks that are in charge of this Department of Education, and they were very cooperative. If they get there, as you see with the letter, if they give us any out we want, if we decide that after we apply for this, and of course, we did specifically ask for the 20%, and we wouldn't be able to pull this. We dumbed this project down from 7,200 square feet to 5,482 square feet. All the contractors I've talked to, most things are coming in right now at 380 a square foot, and I went ahead and priced it at 400 a square foot. That's $2,192,800. Excuse me, 6.5% is normally what the fees are, and that's what it would be on this project. It'd be $2,335,332. Therefore, we get 20% of that with the grant. If it's awarded to us, that's worth $467,000, $66.40. So after talking to the Department of Education, we can apply for this. Doesn't mean we're going to get it. If we don't get it, we're out of it. I mean, I'm not going to push something we don't have the money for. So if we do get it, then of course we would qualify for this. But if we come back and you guys are not able to be able to find a way to find the financing for this, then we would be out of it as well. And the other problem I can see down the road is we put an RFP out and suddenly the bids are 20%, 30% more than we expected, then we would be out of it as well. So all we have to do, I would send you guys a copy of it, would be to withdraw from accepting the money, and it'll go somewhere else. So it's up to you guys if you want to roll the dice on this. I'm hoping that we have a good chance to get this year. This grant is put together periodically by the state. It comes in really fast because you have to wait till they're done with their general session. It has to be approved, and then once the governor signs off on it, it goes to DOE, and then we've got about a month, as you've seen, or 2 months at the most to be able to get it together. Then once we apply for this, which is tomorrow, then I think within 2 to 3 weeks, we're supposed to hear something. So, that's kind of I think you see the letter. I've given us options to get out of this. We're not going to be tied to this. But, it's up to you guys if you want me to try to pursue this. I do like free money. We all do. It's $467,000 that we wouldn't have to try to find some other time. And of the needs that we have that are the most pressing right now in the school system, we've really got this is number one, is trying to do something in Independence Elementary. Those 2 trailers are, as we've talked about, they're atrocious. So trying to do something, add a little more space there and get these kids in a concealed building. It would have a walk-through where they would not be outside. So I'll entertain any questions you all have for me. That's really all I've got. You've got the numbers in the letter there. It'd be up to you if you want to proceed this any further.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks, Gary. Okay. Any motions? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to our budget work session, general operation budget. FY 25-26 PSA.
I'll do the kind of intro and then Nikki and I are kind of tag teaming from here. Today is our third budget meeting of this session. We're certainly going to need to have a few more discussions and get direction from the board on several items, specifically with advertising for levy. Nikki said to me earlier, this may be the worst budget session that she's seen
In my career.
in her career. So that should give you a heads up on where we're at right now. It's really my second budget year. One thing I certainly want to point out to the board and to our citizens if they're listening, I think our folks do an exceptional job with limited funds. They try to stretch a dollar. They see those dollars as their own and they treat them as their personal dollars. And they're really conscious about the dollars that are allocated to them. So people like Looper, Alan, Keith, Sarah, Jessica, they all have ties to the community and they understand how important each of these dollars are. And from the financial management side, our job here is to analyze data, compare and contrast to other localities, and talk about risk associated with those. For me, the county is in a concerning financial position where we're at right now. Over the last few years, our revenues are up slightly, but certainly not at the rate of inflation and our increased labor cost. That leaves us in the position of reductions, to propose reductions and discuss levy increases, which is what we're going to do today. None of these are easy. These are going to be hard thoughts, hard discussions. And we'll happily entertain any questions that you have. So with that fun intro, we'll start our budget discussion. Slide presentation now. So our goals for today are this: determine water rates. FY25 CIP, determine what projects to complete. The only project that we have in the budget currently is the freeze project. It's the only one that we have budgeted for the water filters, $250,000. Got to balance the general fund, and we have to determine what tax rate to advertise for public hearing. So that's coming up. We have to determine today what tax rate to advertise. Does it hold us to that tax rate? And when we go below, we can't go above. Any questions so far? Good. Okay. Second, currently our operating fund is still in excess. We're operating in excess of $145,000 deficit. I know last year we increased rates by 35%. We spent several hours yesterday tracking down to ensure that we have received the adequate amount of revenue back. We have two systems that sometimes don't talk accurately to each other, but we are capturing the revenue. So we'll have a proposal for you for the only project we have is for freeze. Is that water tank renovation? We don't have to do that, but that is a request. And the available cash on hand will not sustain the payout for the school. If you decide to move forward for some reason to fund the IES project, we'll have to take some sort of that. Okay.
Okay, so in front of you, we're gonna start with the PSA fund. You may recall last year we raised rates by 35%. And currently, if you look at our FY26 estimate, between the water and the revenue expense, it requires a transfer from the general fund of $145,000 still. We made a little progress on that, not as much as we need to cover our expenses. These numbers they do include a $250,000 grant in the revenue and a $250,000 expense in the water expenses for the lead line inventory project that we are required to do. So they are up significantly, but that is the majority of that is just the money that we are receiving and paying out. So with that being said, the recommendation for the PSA fund. We looked at the grant water project. That was, the rates did not change on that project last year. When we looked at it, we are collecting less than what we pay the town of Troutdale in water. By about $2,000. So, basically Grayson County is supplementing that project.
And that doesn't count, you gotta understand, that doesn't count for any of the costs, operations and maintenance costs. So keep those up. It's hard for us to really break out. We can break out certain things, supplies, certain things that go towards Old Town or Fairview, I would say. You can't break out exactly the time of those two projects. But he spends, you know, especially what.
We did a brief calculation today on what, like taking the number of grant customers versus the whole, all of our water customers to see about what the attributable costs, operational costs to grant would be. We estimated about $14,000. At a minimum though, we need to charge the customers what Troutdale is charging us. The recommendation here, they charge us $40, not $50, so that is an increase to cover some of the operational costs. But they are charging us $9.73 per thousand. So we're just taking our rate that is currently $5.50 and changing it to what they're charging us at $9.73. The second recommendation is raising the rate on Fairview Old Town by another 5%.
I think that's what you from last meeting, Galaxy informed us they're increasing our rate 5%. So all we're doing is pass along that rate. We'll still have a deficit next year.
Any questions on this slide?
So we can have two different rates, well, what, at those locations because of the,
This is the system.
You have 461 customers roughly now in Fairview, Old Town, and you have 40,
I think 41.
41.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
even raising that rate, we're talking about a $2,000 delta here. is what we're talking about.
does that, they supply the school up there, right? So does that impact any of our stuff, our numbers? School had a different rate.
I mean, the school's bill would also go up with this rate change. Is that a question?
One of them, one of them, ours will go up, I'm sure, we're gonna get pops. Yeah. Same thing with Grayson Highlands, that will go up.
Moving on to the general fund, basically where we stand at today is we have 29 million in revenue and the expenditures that are budgeted currently 32.6 million for a shortage of 3.5 million in the general fund. And we still have a lot of work to be done. Again, that includes the entire 1.98 going to the school. So that makes up a portion of that. I wanted to include for you all, basically this is a chart of the general fund cash balance by month for from 2022 to 2025. Basically to help you understand that we're not funded necessarily in a way that is great at times. Our cash flow follows basically the levy. Okay, so you start out at the beginning of the year, we have a lot of bills that come out in July. And we're basically limping along through October. And if you notice in October of 2023, we had a shortfall. We were in the negative in the general fund. Okay, now when I say general fund, I don't mean the checking account. Okay, because we have lots of funds that make up our checking account. This is what our, services come out of. So your, transfer to the school, you got all of the employees for the county and the constitutionals, they're all coming out of the general fund. So in 2023, we were at a shortfall of $1.1 million. That trend line has stayed constant, but it's never gained any momentum. Right now, in 2025, we're trending a little below where we have been historically. And we really, until the end of the year, we won't know how we settle out. But, we're talking about budgeted revenues and expenditures, which is wholly different from cash and cash on hand that we have. So I just kind of wanted to point that out on this slide. Does anyone have any questions on this slide? Okay. I included the historical school data to give you an idea of the CIP and how has been budgeted out historically. That program was set up to basically put $660,000 in a restricted line item, and that is, I have a pointer. The above RLE number, above RLE CIP, the 1.98, those funds were budgeted in the school budget on the county side. They just weren't moved into a funding mechanism. And part of the reason they weren't moved into a funding mechanism was we didn't have a whole lot of room, I would guess. And keep in mind, I came in 23, end of 23. Yeah. But originally it was set up to go into the budget, and then it sat there basically. So basically the 26 request has the whole 198 because nothing was ever kind of set aside in terms of cash.
1.9,
What I said.
190.
No, sorry. Okay.
Okay, so one of the things we keep hearing from the board is tell us where we can reduce, what our options are for reductions, and so we'll go over that now. The airport has always been a discussion. We are committed towards towards 19.9 there. I believe that's right, 19.9. Historically, we've given something around 55, 57, somewhere around. They've asked for 85. It's not a requirement that we do that. There's a $36,600 savings if reduction, if you so choose. Payments to CSB, the request is $213,486. You can give your direction on where you want to go with that. Last year, I think we landed a little short of that. CIP to the school, if there's a discussion on that, then that's 1.98 million. Above RLE facilities to school, 384 is the request. We can remove 3 county positions. That'd be a total of $300,000. And we could potentially remove 2 county funded positions in the sheriff's office for $145,735. We currently have 6 county funded positions for the sheriff's office, and you can make the choice to remove 2 of those. That would still keep us over budget by $490,000 if we did all of those things. We're still over budget. Okay, recommendations. We recommend advertising a levy increase for 4 cents in fiscal year 26. That equates roughly to $760,000. That's our recommendation. We need the board to supervise guidance on the reductions that we have, potential reductions on the previous slide.
And we're almost to the finish line in terms of the budget process. If you see the calendar, the public hearing on the fiscal year 26 budget is 5/8/25. We will have a work session after that where we will approve the school budget. And then we will be approving the county budget at the June 12, 25 Board of Supervisors meeting. And our next budget meeting is on 5/29.
We have to advertise the rate.
We have to make a decision on advertising the rate. This meeting. If you change the advertised rate, obviously we have to come back with more,
Production.
reductions.
So the 490,000.
Yep. $490.
That reflects the 4 cents.
Yes.
Is there,
No. That
4
reflects.
cents is $7.60. We need about 4 cents in the event. It would cover the reduction, and in the event anything is added back from this list.
So if you tell us we're gonna do this, we gotta figure out what that is. So our thought is, if we advertise at 4, then we can always come back and change that based on what you decide.
so if we said, okay, your reductions, okay, we're in agreement with your reductions, and the 4 cents would give us the 490. That's what I said.
Yeah. Just also as a reminder, there's no ARPA money left done. So I don't have any capacity. If you come to me with an issue, to go, hey, this is really bad, we gotta fix this, unless we take that out of, from balance sheet. We don't have any CIP money left, for any project besides the police project. So we're not planning for anything. We have no EMS positions in there. There's no additional, most of the costs are flat. Parks flat, EMS is, basically flat, except for obviously two gyms and some other, there's some, worked on those increases. We try to skinny down things that we think can be thinner. This is kind of where we're at right now.
All right, so we went with the budget reductions that we see. And we're at the 490. Is 250 of that 490, that's the CIP project for the water.
In the budget is $250. We budgeted $250 for that.
Did they say what the difference was from the actual grant money they received for the filters?
If they took out a
They
loan,
haven't presented to you yet either. I'll ask them to present to you at some point.
Yeah. 'Cause that's huge. Because with the recommendations you made, you include 250,000, we're getting down to, yeah.
I have one thing, it's kind of nitpicky, but I think that's probably the point we're at. There's an item on the parks budget, I believe it was 80,000, maybe 80 something, for Matthews.
Oh, they pay us that money.
They pay us
Yes.
that money
That's
to be
pass-through.
used.
Yeah, they pay
Okay,
us.
thank you.
The county does pick up the fringes on that, but it's part-time help now, so the fringes are pretty
So
minimal.
that's not a cost to
But
the
they,
county.
they pay us 60,000 at the end of the year, and then we pay their people for it.
if you remember correctly. We didn't ask for 384. We found 300 at 384 for Fairview.
Talking about RLE.
Yes, sir. Yeah, but we'd be glad if you give us 84 to buy weapons detectors, we'd be appreciative of it. But we found 300 at 384, if you remember my presentation I did.
I think you just said that.
That's why it's included in here. Honestly,
But that's not the same thing. I didn't ask for that.
in the original budget, it was three
Right,
eighty-four. Yeah.
but we came back and said we don't need the whole 384.
I would like to have some more information on, I know you said they're gonna present, from Breeze on the water filters.
Oh, they are? I thought, I took it as you asking and they've not got you yet.
When they brought it to me, I said, I think this is something you need to present to the board. I can't make this decision. I will budget for it. But I don't have it, you know. I didn't have it in the middle of the year of execution to come up with $250,000. No. It's not something we, that kind of capacity. That's a big decision.
Was this beyond the scope of what we discussed in those grants? Because I know like the retention wall and all that's been done, but pretty much the filters that was supposed to be, is it just a cost increase in materials in that period of time? Because they kind of drug out for about 2.5 years.
Yeah. And they had, what you say they had already set aside, I think it was, I have to go back and look, 3 for 1,000, it's still 600,000. Project, so. With all the money, and, you know, but they had,
That may be that our promote got redirected or something. I don't know. Never mind. I don't know. But,
I know, did we get an email from you, Paul, on this?
this was on, I'm pretty sure this was the FEMA project related to free school. Water.
Now, there's another project.
that's the stormwater project.
Yeah, but I think I got an email on this also, because it said it come fairly Louisville Lane a while about some grant funding wasn't used possibly.
Well, on the stormwater project, I talked about, I had a conversation with Fred and Paul. Where are we at with that? Is that, or do you know? Was that gonna be FEMA money as well?
Yeah, well, I had a conversation with Law yesterday the day before, anyway. Just to try to clarify. And again, I apologize for my fault. The actual phase one, which was all the engineering study, all that supposedly is finished. And the permitting, it's gone out for permitting, I guess, whatever agencies they had to. But, that was all completed and was ready to, shovel ready, was ready to start the project at Freeze Middle School. The problem was, FEDM is they're passing through FEMA money. All FEMA money's up for review right now before it's being distributed. That money had been approved for the Freeze project to do the job, the whole project. But now FEMA, they said, wait a minute, we're reviewing everything at federal level.
So it's on hold. Still the money's released.
Mitchell described the email, I said, I just couldn't remember it.
I'm sorry, what email was it?
What was it?
The email it was actually from Paul and Steve forwarded to us, and it's about the water filter project, and
one reason they are underfunded is that at some point in town decided not to pursue this via a grant with PDH, which would have covered at least 50% of the project. That was the original plan. They shifted the funding to ARPA instead, so the only funding assistance they have is $100K from MRPDC, pretty much parallel to what we did with Woodville Lane. And of course, the price went up. Original estimates were around 530, and this went up to about 730.
And shipping volume. So they got 100.
That's kind of what I figured.
Yeah, but I'm no.
Well, I have to advocate for my district because, I mean, we did bail out Woodville Lane, and spent some funds out there. I don't know how the county, how, I don't want to own this someday. The county don't want to. But if they can't produce water to their citizens, then where do they go from there? The next logical step. And incorporate the town and turn back over this. So I mean, I know it's tight, but I don't want to own the water color. County don't, I don't think. So,
My question is, can they go back and reading the grant process? And I guess we're in the timeframe because they've got to have those ARPA funds spent by the year end, right?
July, I think.
Yeah, it had to be funded by the end of December.
Yeah, I'll get.
So I've talked to Steve about this. There's a lot of avenues of funding out there. There's tobacco commission, grants from different places, and I think historically we've just not done a good job at going after all these options. And we really need to, because we're strapped for money and it takes work, but that's why we have county employee people to help with this. I mean, I think that's got to be a focus for us moving forward.
well, it's my understanding, I mean, there's still grant money out there that they've not spent. It's probably time sensitive too, and it's, as I know, Ed Jones helped and got all, there was 3 separate grants. I can't give you the dollar figure for the filter portion of it, but I know she got, there was a grant obtained for the wall, retention wall, the generator, and the filters. And I'm sure it's time sensitive too. Well, they were pushing the envelope on the other 2. Because of engineering. But it's what the town's fault. I mean, they're kind of mercy of the engineers and land crew. Yeah,
I
they-
don't know that we have asked on something like grants and all that, but we look into that, like, talk to the Wayne Group and see where we're at on some of that.
But I know the county, because was having regular meetings. The county offered up the services of the grant writer we were using at the time to help assist, and she called 3 separate grants.
Is Freeze working on anything at all to try to, or they just saying, no, we reallocate our money, we're done, unless y'all.
I thought we were on the path. I didn't know till Steve invited me that we had this $250,000 gap. I thought we were good to go. Once the line group finished their engineering study.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard just talk about the replacing water filters, but I have no idea of anything about their situation or the water system or the water filters. I've never been briefed on any of it.
Yeah, I agree.
And I mean, last minute they want us to come in, which I understand they somehow got to get funded, but I'm just saying, I don't know any information about it.
They want to stick the finger into those water filters, it's a matter of time delay.
That's,
Are there citizens without water right now? Like there were at Woodville?
no. Those things are fragile, but I know this is like 4th year. And we were told that same thing 4 years ago. And it could go tomorrow, could go before we get out of this meeting, from what I've not seen them. But it's just from what I'm hearing, it sounds like the town made some decisions that maybe, if we go through, it's gonna negatively impact all the rest of the county. As far as, you know, we got a 4 cent proposition here for a tax increase, and I can't see contributing to a tax increase because they didn't seek appropriate funding or whatever the situation was in the town. I know we did that, you know, we corrected the water in the Louisville Lane, but it's not the town, it's our regular citizens, so.
Well, these regular citizens and frees, they pay county taxes every one of them, besides paying town taxes.
And the ones in Providence pay taxes too, and they probably are not gonna want tax increase. And I understand we don't want to own the town either.
You hit on something that I'll just comment on is we're trying to skinny this budget to a place where we can't, if something like this, a bad day happens,
What happens, we can't afford it.
I got no options for you. You're gonna be in trouble. So if you skinny it too much, it's in a rough position. I get it. Nobody wants a tax. I love you. I get that too.
So now I understand that they did pursue these grants and did not obtain them, or who would know?
I'm just saying, it's part of that project.
Right.
I don't know what
They pursued them, was awarded grants.
I thought they were
They
one
got the
grant,
grants?
and they,
And it,
I don't know where it went from there.
Yeah, well,
Was it just got stuck in engineering?
that's their story. That the engineering, that the Lane Group drug it out, at least on the others. We'd have to go back through.
I know it took a long time to
Yeah.
get the retainer wall done and engineering.
But that was an issue, and then the second one was the generator. That's been taken care of now. So they do have a, backup power system. But the filters, I mean, if you've been in that building, those two big wooden vats that look like something that I love Lucy. I think we used to go, I mean, they're just big barrels like this.
They may have felt like they had the funding to do them, and when FEMA came in, they might have put a halt on it then. That's just supposition.
Yeah, we just have to talk to them.
I'll have them at the next.
The only problem with having them at the next one is we gotta make some hard decisions today.
You gotta make a levy. What we do is, I think for us, go ahead, Nikki, I think you want to speak. For us, we have to advertise the decision on the levy. We can change that, but if you start it, nothing,
then you get nothing.
we got nothing. If you start at one, you can go down, you just can't go up once we have.
Right.
And so, gives us a little more time if you're, based on what we're looking at here, it gives us a little more time to think through the free water project or any of these other issues that the numbers change.
I find that the forecast had a slated to get savings on this issue.
Notice how there's no slide.
It wouldn't be a budget meeting with Mississippi Film.
That's true.
Four cents is the deal, so it's budget, and
Even at 58 cents, that would be putting us back to what the rate was in 21. There's been a lot of inflation since then.
Oh, I did this, yes.
Yeah, well, current rate of inflation is what,
21.4.
24?
Also a decision on the person guidance on the water rates.
Yep.
Would be helpful.
Any guidance on that?
And that'll change your, transfer to the PSA from the general fund somewhat and reduce it.
So we're pretty much staying flat with what you recommended, correct?
Flat with the exceptions of the increases that I told you about at the last meeting. There was a salary increase, a bonus that's scheduled.
Yeah, I mean, flat with, revenue versus expenditures. And we're 150 in the hole.
And he's like, yes.
As we see, water projects are expensive.
It's right there around us.
Well, and what you accounted for, you just basically passing through the water rate. I mean, we're doing the maintenance on the
Or,
system.
if I say O&M, I use the operation and maintenance it's us. Every time we lost a board this year, that's 5,000. You gotta leave, there's a weekend we lost. It's just a constant.
Have you had any more conversations with Galax on their willingness to take over that system? I think that's another.
They're not jumping at the opportunity.
Data land, there's 461 customers.
They're
They're
better
here.
off financially.
They're getting the money on the water, the puppy.
And they don't have to service the lines.
It's a honey hole.
Yeah, because we're paying them the same rate there. They'll pay us paying, right?
But
Yeah, and we're having to do our own maintenance, so. Once again, in the past, there was some questionable decisions. I mean, it's,
As far as your recommendations on the water rates, I'm okay with what you recommended on that. You seeking consensus or for the whole thing, or?
no, we need, I think we'll need a motion, second, and for levy and water rates. If you want to do separate. And if you want to discuss these reductions, certainly. Questions about those.
Well, are we, so if we take another hard look at the water and freeze the 250,000. If Wilmore said he's not asked for 300,000. I do remember in the last meeting, he mentioned that, sometimes it's here, but so that's actually, you already figured that in.
I figured the whole,
So
I
we
figured
can't,
what's in our budget. So right now it's at 0 in our budget. Like, if we increase it 84,000, that number will go up.
what's the, I'm confused, because he said the initial ask was 384, and then he lowered it to 84?
The original budget came in, and that's what, I go off what written documentation I have from an agency. So yes, we were in a meeting where he said, we don't need all that, but that wasn't in
The official.
the official ask. So this is what our official asks are from agencies.
Okay, but he
Because
said
that's
we could strike the 300, so that would take us down to,
No, because we've removed all of it.
oh, you have removed, I got
That's what all that is.
you. Okay, I got you. I got you.
I'm trying
Yeah, I was,
Gotcha.
I got you.
to, took me a minute.
If we want to add 84, we can do that. That's the purpose of 4 cents on the levy. Give us
Understand,
a little bit of leeway to put something back in.
understand.
It's the 250 in the budget for free.
Yes.
It is in there, so it's not in there. Okay.
So that would get us, if we took the 250 out, we're down to 240 with these cuts. And the question is, what can we do for?
2 cents.
Susan, what do you suggest?
That's a question. I know we can. And I really appreciate you guys have trimmed this thing down. You've cut a lot of fat, from what I can tell. And last year, if I'm not mistaken, you went through every department and had cuts.
And we're arguing, I'm just telling you, we're arguing over $500. Internally, in the county building. That's where we're at. We're arguing over $500. And you can cut it down to nothing. I don't have anything though.
You say we're arguing about it.
Internally.
It's an
Internal.
example.
Oh, I got you. Oh, so you guys, I'm sorry.
It's an example.
I thought
You and I.
Oh, okay.
Somebody comes to us saying we got a $500.
Right.
Did you buy those staples?
Somebody comes with a $500 increase in the line. I'm like, why? Tell me why.
Yeah, I'm a dairy farmer. Yeah.
No better.
So I commend you for last year and for what we've got here so far this year. And I know we're really squeezing the lemon. And it is worth noting, we have, as this board and the previous board, several boards have inherited some really bad decisions. And I think we've tried to work really hard not to do the same thing, so the future boards are not even worse shape.
One more phone number out. What you are?
Well, I'm okay with advertising with the water rates as recommended. So I would make a motion to, is it advertise, to advertise the water rates as recommended by staff.
Got a motion, we have a second. Second. Okay, any discussion? Okay. Hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair also aye. That's the easy one.
Yeah, well, we're providing the water service, it's gotta be paid for.
It's got to be paid for, and,
There's not any wiggle room, we're wiggling in the hole already.
yeah, we're not, county's not making any money, it's just a pass through.
And I don't think that we would be allowed to make money, I don't think it's set up that way, is it? It's, but we're supposed to be a break even, right?
Not in proprietary funds, so the water fund is a proprietary fund, you can make money in that fund.
In anticipation of future projects.
Yes, for depreciation. And I will say, buying water, purchasing water is a lot cheaper than building water plants. Those are really expensive endeavors.
I think that was, yeah, it's, they've got a $16 million project right now. Not you.
Well, get coming there.
Yeah.
I was still.
Which directly affects our customers because they're gonna be paying for that water plant as well.
Okay, then we'll move on to the levy. I would say we don't have to make any decisions tonight on the cuts. But whatever the levy we set will probably be necessarily need to reflect what those cuts in the levy would do. Intertwined, or work.
It's something depending on what you do with the levy, we'll have to come back with some, probably additional staff reductions. Or, other options.
But there's nothing that you, as far as staff reductions, there's nothing right now that you can think that you would add to that list that you already named, 3 county and 2 sheriffs.
Right? None of those are easy. Those
Right.
are not,
Absolutely,
those are not fund reductions that I,
absolutely.
can. It's, to me, it's a risk-based assessment. I continue to say, our risk to the county right now is EMS, and we're not funded. I know we're doing 2.1 million, but most of that's going outside of what we're doing with the county. we're not preparing for the future of what's facing us with the gas. And I get it. I get the levy issue. I get it. I do think we're going to have to face, we'll face it sooner or later. And I had Nikki run the cash flow just so you, or actually, Nikki's idea, hey, let's take a look at this. And so we went to Sarah and worked together to try to look at these trends because Sarah had said, hey, I'm nervous about our cash flow here, how we're looking.
We actually had to borrow $1 million from the broadband fund this past year.
That's how we got payroll done.
Yeah.
Borrowing from abroad. That's how we got payroll done.
We should stay at that, but it's never a position you want to be in.
We're not flush with gas.
Our current rate's what on the loop?
54 cents.
54. There was at one time, the year before was,
59.
No.
And it was 58.
And
And then that's 56.
when was it 58? Did you say 20?
In 21, it was 58. The only time it was lower was back in 19 when it was 49 cents.
Okay, this is when I came. That's what
There,
it's 59.
yeah, there was a reassessment in there too, yeah.
You'll have a reassessment to 28, remember that. So there's nothing. You look at revenues from personal property, and residential, especially. So,
That reassessment set up on 6 years, I know.
if you're
More could change, forward, $2. More,
It's like Russian roulette. There's unanticipated issues that got to be funded, and unanticipated revenue that potentially could come.
not to 28. Even then, you still have a decision to make
Yeah.
whether to level set or
on the rate.
on the rate.
any recommendations from staff on our personal property, or we shouldn't go anything that
We talked about it a little bit to go to maybe 230. It's not a whole lot difference.
You receive about $10.5 million in real estate taxes, and you receive 4 in all of personal property, which includes merchant's capital and machinery tools. There's a code restriction on merchant's capital, so you can't change that rate.
Carol's at 230.
What was the, in 2020, for machine and tool, I was at 225 and then knocked down to 1.7.
On machine too.
It went up.
It was 225,
I don't,
It
19
went
to
up.
20,
yeah, it was
and then
changed.
20 to 21 was 1.7.
It's the opposite. On this schedule, it went up from 175 to 225 and
Mm-hmm.
between 19 and 20, and then it stayed at 225.
and that's personal property, not machine too. Machine too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm like, I'm pretty good.
That's personal.
I'm so sorry. I bet that was a typo in the levy.
Oh,
I bet in the app they got the rate wrong.
That's too low.
Right.
Machine too.
okay.
I've never seen that. It's about 190,000 per 1 cent on the levy.
How much?
190? Should be Steve's.
I don't know how we're gonna make any sense out of this budget with that, with any less than 2 cents. I'm just running figures and. That's what it looks like. Minimum.
And that's probably cutting out water.
That would be without doing the freeze plant. But then, like you said, if it's breaks down tomorrow, where's that gonna come from?
I understand, and this is just an advertisement,
Yeah, it
you
is.
know, we make our final decision on whatever date that is. Right, June, board meeting, I think.
No, it's, well, the public hearing,
Probably we had a public hearing for,
Yeah, but we can't vote it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
so,
June.
what's today on
Well,
that? It's got a couple of months.
You want higher, like 59, 54, 60, that's, come down. So, it'll go up if you do a little wait on it.
That's true. We're all gonna panic.
Certainly come down.
I mean, when we're talking about possibly having to take out a loan because we don't have enough cash on hand for the 1.98 CIP, it's like, what are we doing? Robbing Peter to pay Paul.
We still have, I think, Mike asked me about the, out at school. What was that? We don't pay it off till 2033, right? It's 1.25. We have one loan that comes off. So next year, you have to go down to 1.15 or something. You're not gonna get it
So you said one loan comes off next year?
next year.
Is it?
This year for free.
This is free, yeah.
Oh, it's
So I
free.
think our next payment goes from 129 to 11 something.
One more time, okay.
About 100 per house. But we still have that loan to 2030.
Chair, any kind of motion? Do this.
I think we could advertise it the staff recommendation, but, you know, it's, we go down from there.
See something. What was that for?
You make a motion.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Motion, and a second, on the rate, the increase of 4 cents.
Two advertisements.
To advertise. Any further discussion? I like to raise two cents better.
I mean, I do too. but-
Advertisement too?
But if we advertise it too, that's no wiggle room if something happens.
Okay, so,
And we've gone how long before we actually have to? June.
I'll be open to
I think that
advertisement too.
what I've heard is, let's make sure we got this freeze project and understand the full scope of this freeze
Yes.
project and the other options for the freeze project. And then certainly we'll continue to,
And if you want to add even more in for the school.
if you want to add somewhere, gives you a few options. If you go to.
There's no wiggle room, I know.
Right on the nose.
and I know wiggle room's tough, but sometimes if you give government wiggle room, they'll take it. With the government. Very good.
I can tell you this, we won't spend money on projects that we don't, that are not.
I think this board has made that clear, we don't want to.
we're not interested in spending money that is not absolutely necessary. And so, you know, if we decide, if the board decides to increase the levy, for us, it's about getting our bottom line correct. It's about thinking about the future. And not trying to, we don't have any pet projects, there's no pet projects. This board said, hey, we don't want any pet projects. We want to make sure we're producing the required services that we have to. And so that's where we're at.
I would, yes.
Okay, all right.
Okay. So we have unless there's any further discussion, we'll go ahead and call for a vote on the advertised increase of 4% on the levy. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Chair. That's aye for the 4%.
Yeah, I know we've got a quorum, but is it a problem that our chair isn't here to vote for that song? We're just committing for now.
It's just an ad.
I know, it's just, it's an ugly ad.
Last year, I think theirs was advertised with a
3?
something like that.
Yeah, it was 3 last year, and then we didn't.
Down the way.
Mm-hmm.
With that magic.
Okay, there's no closed session.
No closed session.
Oh, it's on.
It's on here.
Too.
Yeah, I thought there was.
That's closed session.
Oh, there is, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
there is.
Yes, there is.
That
Yes,
All right, I was going by a little conversation.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
My
all
brain.
right, so do we, in fact, indeed do have closed session.
I did fasting yesterday for 24
Sorry,
hours.
station. So, this time Chair would entertain a motion to enter into closed session to discuss a personnel matter pursuant to 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia involving staffing for the sheriff's department. Motion. Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna take about a 5-minute break. Start.
You can stay.
Okay.
Okay.
No, you got all.
Dear Lord.
So you've asked for religious reasons, not health reasons. Because I've been seeing this thing where you fast for like 7 days or something, it's supposed to like regenerate your cells and build your immune system.
I don't know anything about
You ever seen
I saw
that?
it for 3 days.
Is it 3?
The one I saw.
So many hours, how many hours is that? 48 hours? No. 8 or something? Yeah, 72 hours.
But it was saying like how you came off of it, what kind of food you gotta eat. That's what it said. Like,
But
you
it
gotta
was
kind of ease
supposed
into it. They said like it would, your immune